Right, welcome to the review of the first test in the Year 12 Pure Mechanics section. This is really for those of you who found it a bit hard. If you got a very high mark, you probably don't need to be watching this. If you're at less than 60%, I recommend that you have another go at it again. So watch this video and then redo the test. Hopefully I've put the test by now on files. Just have another go at it. Okay, so here we go. So here's question 1. So solve the equation y equals 11x minus 28 minus x squared. Probably a good idea to rearrange part A into minus x squared plus 11x minus 28 equals 0, which you can factorize. If you wanted to, you could multiply by minus 1 because it is equal to 0 in this case. If you did factorize it just as it is though, you could get x minus 4, 7 minus x equals 0, so therefore x equals 4 or x equals 7. That's the solution to the equation. So part B, you sketch the graph. You need to use a ruler for this. I can't because I'm using it on the PowerPoint, but you should use a ruler for your axes. Okay. You're going to go through 4 and 7 on the x-axis, and it needs to be this way up because it's a minus x squared. Okay, that needs to be 4, not 7, sorry. That needs to be 7. That is minus 28 here. Okay, and that's the answer to that one. If you're not sure about that, then pause the video, look again. Okay, 2a. This was a tricky completing the square, part A. It was a nasty one. Write it as minus x squared plus 4x minus 6. Now you cannot multiply through by minus 1 because it's not equal to 0. It doesn't say equal to 0, so you can't do that. You can't write it as x squared minus 4x plus 6. Don't do that. Okay, so what you need to do is do this. So you put a negative there, then a bracket, x squared minus 4x. Keep the minus 6 separately outside the bracket. Just the bits with the x in it needs to be inside the bracket. It's a minus 4x here because that minus times the minus will go back to the plus. Okay, so be careful with your signs there. Then we've got to complete the square on the bit inside the bracket. So that's going to be x minus 2 squared, and then if you expanded that, you'd get x squared minus 4x plus 4. So you want to get rid of that to compensate for that. Okay, so it's going to be minus 4 there. Right, now get rid of these square brackets. So that's x minus 2 squared, and then that minus here times that minus there makes a plus 4 minus 6. Okay. Lots of you ended up with a plus 10 or a minus 10 here because you made a mistake with your signs. So it's x minus 2 squared minus 2. That's it. Okay. If you're not sure, then just pause the video and check it out. Part B, what's it going to look like? Well, the vertex is where this bracket equals to 0. So it's going to be where x equals 6. Where x equals 2, and if x equals 2, then this will be 0, and the whole thing will be equal to minus 2. So the vertex is at 2 minus 2, so about there. Okay, we know from the original equation here that A is going to be an upside down parabola because it's a minus x squared, and also it's going to go through minus 6 on the y-axis. Oops, so something like that. Okay, so that's the vertex at 2 minus 2. It asks for the equation of line of symmetry as well. It goes through 2 on the x-axis, so that is x equals 2. Sorry about that. That's x equals 2 is your line of symmetry. Okay, part A was a tricky bit really, but for vertex, make sure you know what value makes this bracket equal to 0. If it is 0, make sure you know that the y comes out as minus 2. Right. Right, find the equation. All the roots of 16x to the power 4 equals 17x squared. So 16x to the power 4 minus 17x squared plus 1 equals 0. Rearrange it equals 0. You could factorise that, but probably the simplest thing is to say u equals x squared. So that makes 16u squared minus 17u plus 1 equals 0. And then factorise that. Okay, if you factorise that, you end up with 16u minus 1, and then u plus 1 equals 0. Oh, no, sorry, that's a minus 1, sorry. U minus 1. And let's rub that out and do it again. Okay, so that should be a minus 1 there. Alright, so you've got therefore that u equals 1 over 16 for the first bracket, or u equals 1. So that means that x squared equals 1 over 16, or x squared equals 1. So x therefore equals plus or minus 1/4, or x equals plus or minus 1. A lot of you missed out the plus or minus bit. Okay. You need 4 solutions. If you've got x to the power 4, you need 4 solutions, and there you've got 4, plus or minus 1/4, plus or minus 1. Okay, here's question 4. Okay, now the point about question part A is it's got 2 different real solutions. That means, and you must state this, that a discriminant b squared minus 4ac must be positive. Must be greater than 0. You must state that. Okay, that's 1 mark for doing that. So your A is K. Okay, that's your A here. Your B is 4. And your C equals 5 minus K. Put it in brackets, I would. So therefore, B squared minus 4AC is going to be 4 squared minus 4 times K times 5 minus K. Okay, so you've got to simplify that. So that's 16 minus 4K 5 minus K, which is 16 minus 20K plus 4K squared. And this is all greater than 0. Greater than 0, greater than 0. Those have been there all the way through. Okay, so that's 4k squared minus 20k plus 16 is greater than 0. Divide through by 4, you've got k squared minus 5k plus 4 is greater than 0. Okay, as required. So that's part A. And then part B, hence find all the possible values of k. So if k squared minus 5k plus 4 is greater than 0, we want the critical values. So we factorise that and we get k minus 4, k minus 1 is greater than 0. So our critical values are that k equals 4 and k equals 1. From the brackets there. Now you really ought to sketch the quadratic graph of this function now. It's going to go through 1 and 4. Okay, and it's going to go through 4 on the y-axis. This is a curve of y equals k squared minus 5k plus 4. That's 4. This is 1. This is 4. Okay. Now you're interested in the bit that is greater than 0, greater than 0, where the graph is greater than 0. Well, this bit of the graph here is greater than 0. Okay, this is greater than 0. This is greater than 0. Okay, just that bit of the graph here as well. So which bit of the axis? Well, it's that part of the axis and that part of the axis. So x is less than 1 and x is greater than 4. You can put that into set theory if you want to. In fact, I've just made a mistake because it's not x, it's k. Okay, I think I criticised one of you for doing exactly that. So it should be k is less than 1, k is greater than 4. Okay, it's not x, it's k. Not sure? Pause the video, have another look. Alright, simultaneous equations here. So, a lot of you have the right idea here, for the first part anyway. So you rearrange that to y equals 3x minus 2, and then you substitute it into the second equation. So you've got 3x minus 2 squared minus x minus 6x squared equals 0. Be careful about the expansion of brackets here. 9x squared minus 3x times 2, that's minus 6x. That's twice 2 of those, that's minus 12x plus 4 minus x minus 6x squared equals 0. Okay, be careful where you put your brackets. So that's 9x squared minus 13x, sorry, yes, carry on, plus 4 minus 6x squared equals 0. So that's 3x squared minus 13x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, so we need to solve for that equation now. We can factorise that. So that's 3x and x. Okay, that's minus 4. That's minus 1 equals 0. And from that we get that x equals 1/3 from the first bracket and x equals 4 from the second bracket. Okay, now we need to work out what y is equal to. So if x equals 1/3, then y equals 2 times 1/3 minus 2. Okay, so that's from there. So y equals 2/3 minus 2. Okay, so 2/3. Oh, hang on, sorry, it's 3/3. 3 times 1/3, sorry. 3 times 1/3 minus 2. So that's equal to 1 minus 2. So that's equal to minus 1. And if x equals 4, then y equals 3 times 4 minus 10. 4 minus 2, which equals 10. Alright, so the solutions are 1/3 and minus 1. And then we've got 4 and 10. Put them together as a pair, always looks good. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6. Okay, a lot of you got this absolutely right. Right. So I'm going to. So we've got the roots here. The roots are 0, minus 2, and 3 on the brackets there. Okay, whatever brackets the bracket equal to 0. All right. So therefore, you're going to get a curve which goes through 0, minus 2, and 3. It's going to be a minus x cubed because of that minus x there. So it's going to curve this way, like that. So that's going to be minus 2. That's going to be 3. And that should be 0. Doesn't quite hit, sorry. Now, y equals minus, I'll do it in a different colour actually. Y equals minus 2 over x. A lot of you had this right. Looks like this. Okay, that is a y equals minus 2 over x graph. Okay, so that's part 2. And then using the sketch, give reasons, the number of real solutions, with the number of places to intersect. So there's 2 intersections, therefore 2 real solutions. 2 intersections implies 2 real solutions. Okay, intersections. Sorry about my handwriting. Okay, question 7. Okay, so here is the graph of f of x equals x over x minus 2. Okay, so if you're going to do f of x minus 1, then that is going to be a translation 1 unit in the x direction plus 1 unit in the x direction. Okay, So if I sketch that curve, that means that this asymptote, x equals 2, is going to move one place to the right to be x equals 3. This y equals 1 asymptote will not move. Okay, so the graph is going to be moved across one place. It's going to go roughly like that. Sorry, that's not very neat. Right, in fact, I'm going to do that again because it's important for the next part. Let me just draw in these axes again. Okay, so, sorry, that's horrible. Okay, so actually it goes something like this. And then like that. Okay. So in part 2, we're looking for the places where the curve cross the coordinate axes. So that's that point and that point. Let's call them A and B. Now it's quite useful to find out what our function is. And our function is going to be replacing the x with x minus 1. So it's x minus 1 over x minus 1 minus 2. Just replace the x with x minus 1. So that's x minus 1 over x minus 3. Okay, to simplify the denominator there. So at A, the x value is 0, which implies that f of x is equal to minus 1 over minus 3, which is 1/3. So A therefore equals 0, 1/3. Alright, and then at B, y equals 0, which implies that x minus 1 over x minus 3 equals 0, which implies that x has to equal 1 because the denominator has to be 0. So x minus 1 equals 0. Okay, so therefore B equals 1, 0. Alright. Okay, any questions about that? Then just pause the video and look again. Last question. Okay, set of values for which 3 bracket x minus 2 is less than x 8 minus 2, 8 minus 2x. So expand the brackets. 3x minus 6 is less than 8 minus 2x. Bring the 2x from there over to here. That's going to be adding, so that's 5x. And bring the minus 6 from the left to the right. So that's going to be less than 14. So x therefore equals less than 14 over 5. You can write that as 2.8 if you wish, but 14 over 5 is quite adequate. B, you don't need to do any expanding here, really, because you just need to look at these values here, okay, and get the critical values. Okay, so the critical values are going to be that x equals 7 over 2 from the first bracket, what makes the bracket equal to 0, or x equals minus 1. Okay, so a little sketch of that function would be handy. Going through minus 1 and 7 over 2, that's minus 1 and 7 over 2. Less than 0, that's a bit below the x-axis, that's that bit there. So what range produces that? Well, that's minus 1 is less than x, which is less than 7 over 2. Okay, that bit of the graph there. Alright, so that's the answer to part B. Now part C, it's only 1 mark, but really what we should do here is draw a number line and put the two inequalities on there. So 14 over 5 is here. And from part A, x is going to be less than that. So that's going that way. And then for part B, you've got minus 1 here, 7 over 2, so that's 3.5, which is here, so 7 over 2. And we know that it goes in a range between those 2 points. So this bit here is where the two inequalities overlap. So minus 1 is less than x, which is less than 14 over 5. Okay, so that's the answer to part C, where the two overlap. Alright, I suggest that if you got a low mark, less than 60%, then I would suggest that you need to redo that whole test. By all means, have a look at this video as many times as you like. Anyway, well done for watching. Bye bye.